Hello and welcome to Mr. E's Watch Reviews. Today we got my buddy Justin here. Uh, he's our 1260 watch winner. Um, we're doing a water pump on his van. Ran out of time because basically I'd already set this up for 12 o'clock. And long story short, there's a little tube that comes normally with the water pump that didn't come with the water pump this time. And I couldn't get the old one out of the water pump. And yeah, so that is what it is on that, and they had to run up to the store to get that, and I had to get cleaned up for the show. So it is what it is. Uh, let's see. Nobody's actually watching right now. Well, actually, I don't know. They could be because this doesn't always count right. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll have
Right.
people all over in here. Which I don't know. Sometimes they come in just a few minutes later or whatever. You know what I mean? They're not
Hmm.
always right on time.
Right.
But at any rate, because this is recording, we are going to keep the show rolling. You know what I'm saying? We're not going
Uh,
to just stall on it. So, how do you like doing? You know, what is it called? Like, it's not really customer service, but the hospitality industry. How do you like the hospitality industry?
I started in construction, and then I figured out I didn't have to be hot and cold and underpaid anymore, and then I could, you know, and just restaurants in general were one of my things because I I really like to meet different people in general, and I like working for hotels because it's always somebody different, it's always something different. And then I got down here and I started working for this place, this local joint, and they treat me more like family than they do an employee. And so I never had that before. Hourly raises and Christmas bonuses at a restaurant just don't happen that much. And
Wow, that's pretty
so
badass.
I really enjoy the restaurant job I have now for sure. And I won't ever leave there until I leave here, this place in general.
I got you. I got you. Until you move out of the area.
Yeah.
Uh, No, I mean, because my buddy Jason is the one that actually turned us on to the restaurant, which it actually kind of surprised me, man, how good the food really was and everything like that. And, of course, the service was really good. But BJ's restaurant, like if you guys are ever headed down to the Outer Banks, it's right on 168. It's right off. Well, if you're headed to the Outer Banks, it's on the left side. If you're headed from the Outer Banks, it's on your right. But at any rate, very good little restaurant. Like, got great steaks, really good crab cakes. And no, we're not getting paid for this. It's just, it is a good restaurant. Uh, looks like we got a few people starting to trickle in now. Um, just so everybody can see, Mr. Joe lent me his Monta Atlas. We're going to be talking about this here in just a little while. He insisted I wear it, just not while I'm working on nothing. So I made sure I even put a cover over top of the love seat here to make sure that it's well protected. It's like in a padded room, Joe. Okay, it's like in its own little rubber room. All right, it's got its little straight jacket on. It's, you know, but I know why he's so protective. Because like this watch, he's like, I've worn this. I'm like, no, you haven't. Quit bullshitting, man. Uh, because there ain't hardly not a mark on this thing. It is still pristine. Like he really takes good care of his watches. And of course, on my other wrist, I'm wearing the one from Philo. Uh, we got the Steinhardt on. Because again, Philo was like, no, wear it. And basically, this is the first time I put it on since the last time y'all saw me with it. But um, I do like this watch. I like the way the case is, got its nice little kind of rounded, smooth edges and stuff like that. Uh, but um, is it a Ginault? No. It is a very good watch for the money. For the $440, it is very nice. The bezel action is a little too tight for me because, like, even right now, it doesn't exactly want to turn because I'm fresh out of the shower. but that's just how stiff the bezel is. It just does not want to turn very freely. It, but you see me struggling with it, and I don't normally struggle with the bezel, so I got pretty strong fingers. Uh, oh Lord. Mm. So we got that to say for the Steinhardt. That bezel is tight. It is super tight. Like wow, it's so tight. Um, let's see. Newer Samaritan hand to do a showdown. Oh yes, no, that would be a really good showdown there. Watch Dan. Um, to be perfectly honest, the silent service has kind of got a little leg up on the Rolex just because the bezel is fully loomed. I just so happen to have right in front of me the silent service that you were so speaking of. Um, oops, I got it upside down. Uh, but see, and again, like I'm watching it on the TV, and I can just tell I had it upside down just because of that big old indice right there. It wasn't even because of that one, but that one was also a good indicator. Um, but this thing with the sapphire bezel, it's all fully loomed with all them great big indices. Yeah, uh, it's definitely kind of going to pull ahead a little bit there. And I know that's going to piss off a lot of Rolex people, but like if you're going to go with functionality, yeah. And then that beautiful scalloped, not scalloped, but square cut bezel. Like you see how it's just playing in the light there, just all nice and pretty. Yes, exactly, exactly. Like I know you're not like again. Justin's not like a really big watch nerd like the rest of us or anything like that. He likes watches. He appreciates them, but he does not know really shit about them. So he's just kind of along for the ride today since I didn't get his van done in time. So it is what it is. But like
It's a beautiful watch, no doubt.
we'll do the bezel. See how buttery smooth that
Oh
is.
yes, yes, yeah. I do like the way it spins. It's just got
That's Rolex level glide. Like yeah, I mean the legibility is insane at night, but would you not agree that that bezel action is as smooth that oh that's right. Well, you don't have the have you had the Submariner in your hands? Like have you got to play with it, the newer one? Because again, we got the Ocean Rover 2 here, which is even more so. Like, I'm kind of surprised you're not doing this one against the Rolex because I would put this one up against the Rolex all day. Because this is the Rolex that Rolex should make, but they don't, and they should. But here you can check that one out. That one there is my absolute favorite watch.
I like it. I like the circles, the way that
The indices are
yeah, and the layout is really nice.
well, like oh man, why did you retract the message?
The inside of that watch couldn't be any shinier. And that green is just I love that color too.
All right, well, like if we could turn off the lights in here, we could do a loom shot, but you don't have to just trust me. Like these things glow in the dark insanely good. But some of the big Ginault news, uh, if you guys were wanting a silent service or thinking about it, they just went to phase two pricing. So that just means the price just went up. Yeah, you know what? See, you were not the only one with that. As far as being bumped a little bit, um, I have bumped mine also because I do mechanic work. So like when you stick your hands and stuff in places and everything like that, especially because it has that. really good grip on the side, it's kind of a negative there. You know what I'm saying? Like it can be a little too grippy. It's a little easy for it to get traction on stuff, and since it does ever so slightly just barely overhang the bezel, it's even easier for it to roll on stuff. Uh, but like I think that's one of them things that maybe a little bit more tension, but it's to me it's not like the bezel feels loose. Yeah, exactly. And like you got to think about like when you're wet and slippery and whatnot, you want to be able to grab that bezel and twist it because you know you want to be able to get the shit set right. Um, so I don't know. I do prefer the coin edge bezel, just because it's a little bit slimmer, a little bit thinner. But the two watches overall are about the same thickness, if I remember correctly. Uh, the OR2 is just a little bit slimmer, but not by much. Um, but that's the other big news from Ginault. Uh, they are re-releasing for a limited time the Ocean Rover 2. You can put your order in at Ginault.com like now. I would get on it. No, I'm not even fronting, man. Because look, that's this watch here, the one you're talking about you like so much.
Yeah.
Uh, they discontinued it for a while. Like you could get them here and there once in a blue moon, brand new. But they're only doing the date with Cyclops version of it. Um, you can get it with either the black ceramic bezel or the blue ceramic bezel. Mine is the blue. And as you can see, like in certain light, especially like right here, it looks black. If I get it like tilted just right, no, it still looks black. Well, it's like a dark navy blue. Um, shit. Oh, hang on. Ha ha ha. I got something. Booyah. It's blue now, bitches. And see, that's the crazy thing about this one. Like in the different lighting and stuff like that, it looks so much different. Um, I really do like the blue, but I am about to order me a black one. Um, that's just because I'm a nerd and I want to have both. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is a really nice ass watch. You know what I mean? Like these two are by far my two nicest watches. Uh, with that being said, though, that's actually a pretty big deal because a lot of people have been like bugging the shit out of me to try and buy mine, and no, you can't have it. I done told y'all no, 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 it's mine. Like I'm like Daffy Duck when it comes to that watch. Okay, it's like you remember how he'd be all greedy and shit, and be like, mine, 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 it's all mine. You can't have it, it's mine. And that's exactly how I am about that watch. It's like, no, y'all can fuck off. It's mine. But I do want to talk about this Monta that Joe lent me a little bit. This thing is quite comfortable. It's definitely got a different uh, kind of feel to it than most other watches. Um, because of the way this bracelet articulates, I think I showed y'all already, but like it does really cool stuff because it like see how it like articulates like that, you know, kind of almost like a tank track. Uh, but it's fully articulates. It fully moves. Um, the Swiss movement that's in here seems to be keeping excellent time. I did have to demagnetize this for Joe. Um, basically, uh, he had a habit of leaving it by his cell phone, which your cell phone's got magnets in it and it will magnetize your watch. Um, but at any rate, it's actually kind of funny. And we're going to get Justin's impression on this watch because with the watch he got it with a case back where you could see the movement like this one, but this is a much fancier, much higher dollar movement, and we're gonna have Justin check it out through the magnifying lens with the light and everything like that, so he can get a really good look. No, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like this way you
Let's
can
do it.
really get a good look. There we go. Here,
All right.
put that on. Get that all adjusted to your head. Like this is the one that. Yeah,
Okay.
I think you gotta.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta pull it out.
That's
There you
good.
go. All right.
Okay.
Like,
Oh wow, you could really.
yeah, and like if you put this one down over top of it.
Well, there you go. Now you can see like super detail.
Oh yeah, dude. Looking through the magnification is a whole different deal. It's like if you really appreciate the good work and fine craftsmanship of a watch and stuff, like this is the way to do it. You know, and I got those at Harbor Freight Tools for everybody here in the US. I think it was like 13, $14. So right good deal.
So was if there was an imperfection in this watch, um, would it make it worth more money or worth less money?
Uh
Kind of like some like a manufacturer
no, like you really don't want
misses something,
anything. Like yeah,
forgets the second hand.
yeah, like that's typically it's got to go back, especially because that watch was $2,000. So
Okay.
for 2 grand, there better not be nothing missing, nothing fucked up. Because if it is, bitch, there's gonna be somebody getting an ass whooping. What's up, G Money?
That's cool. I'll tell you what. I like
All right,
that.
watch Dan. Appreciate it.
That's really glowing now too.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Because like this is one of the things that Joe was talking about. Yeah, he was talking about. Here, let's see. Actually, I don't know. Charge that up because he was talking about how good the loom was on this thing. Did you look at the backside of it?
No, I did not. I didn't. I didn't
That's
know.
the
Let's
whole
see.
point of you actually looking at it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're talking about like you thought the other one was pretty.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
See, not all watches have that kind of function.
I love mechanical things, and to me, this is just
Yeah.
one of the pinnacles of just mechanics in general.
Honestly, I didn't think this one had a case back, but yeah, no, that one's absolutely gorgeous because
It's cool.
SW300 fully decorated, elaborated. Yeah.
I'd wear
Oh yeah,
it.
dude. That watch is
Yeah.
nice as fuck.
Yeah, I see that movement that you're talking about. In the,
Oh yeah, and the bracelet.
yeah,
Yeah, like the way it articulates and everything.
yeah. And each one is almost slightly bent in a way or shaped in a way.
Yeah. It just when it's on your wrist,
Yeah, I can see
it
it. You just touched
conforms very nice.
Yeah.
Even much like this one because this has what they call the female end links,
Mm-hmm.
and so does this. Like see how like this part right here receives this part,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what they call female.
Right.
It hangs on the wrist better. It just kind of chills there, kind of draping itself down like
Right.
that. Now the only thing that I'm not a big fan of on this Monta uh, is how this bracelet like the clasp overextends, or saying the inside part of the clasp overextends the outer part. So that's not all that great. Because it does like for me, it's not a big deal because I'm not wearing it like tight, tight, tight. Uh, but if I did, it would kind of square off here at the wrist. So one thing I did notice that this does actually have the quick adjust system on it. Um, which is right cool. It's already all the way in, but you can actually adjust it out. So that is pretty nifty. That it at least has that. But yeah, I mean, like for me to get the right fit, I think I'd have to take a link out, and I don't want to take a link out of Joe's watch. It's good enough. I can get the gist of it. You know what I'm saying? But here with the Steinhardt, I mean, this is a nice fitting watch. Like this one, I just had to do the micro adjust in on this like one notch from Philo's wrist uh, to get it right. Um, this is a right nice one. You want to check that out?
Yeah.
And then here you can use, like I said, he owns the Invicta. Uh, he can actually tell you the difference, like just from what he can see and feel real quick
I like the
on.
engravement on the back.
Oh, that's great. Here, you want
Is
to?
that hand done or is that
I don't
machine
know.
done?
I'm not exactly sure. I'm just saying, yeah. Just got another click if you want it brighter.
I don't know where.
Oh man. So how's everybody doing this Saturday?
That looks hand done to me. That's cool. That's I really like that. That's my favorite part of this watch. Definitely the engravement on the back.
Yeah, the matte black dial on that's not bad, but it's a little too matte.
This looks kind of similar to the watch that you gave me.
Oh yeah, well they
Similar.
all look like the Rolex Submariner, dude. You know what I'm saying? All the watches are kind of similar. Not all like this one, but like most of the watches I own are all mostly Rolex homages, is what they call them. Um,
Okay.
you know, essentially, the rule about a homage is as long as you put your name on it and not theirs, well, now it's a homage.
Right. Right.
Because they're all copies of the Rolex Submariner. Is essentially what it is. You know, and even like Rolex was the first one to kind of do it to themselves because you had the Submariner, and then you had their sister company owned by the same guy, Tudor,
Mm-hmm.
and their diver was also called the Submariner, and was used or not used, but made a lot in the first generations of used Submariner parts.
Okay.
So it is what
Okay.
it is. Oh shit! What the hell?
Okay.
Why is the camera out of focus? The fuck? Camera.
Just auto adjusting.
Yeah, holy
Just
shit,
in the
man.
wrong direction.
I don't know. I guess it was just all the quick, fast movements. It was just doing all kind of retarded stuff. So I don't know. But yeah, like with the Ginots and all that kind of good jazz, that's kind of crazy that the prices. Well, not crazy because I thought they were going to go a lot quicker or faster on the phase one price to phase two, but essentially, if you don't want to wind up paying full retail on it at someday or whatever, you might want to either start looking on the secondary market or you know go ahead and get you one before the price gets too far up there. Uh, you know, as far as uh, that Ocean Rover 2, I mean, if you want one, yeah, I would get it while the getting's good. Like that watch there. I don't know. I know that you can get them on the secondary market. The prices vary and whatnot, but again, conditions vary and that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, this is a watch that everybody I think should have in their collection, and I'll just be upfront. Like, had I known what I know now, what's up, Philo? It's all good, buddy. This is Philo's watch.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Philo's my buddy Justin Philo. Uh, but yeah, like if I had known now what I know or knew when I very first started collecting, um, this would have been the one watch I would have went and just got this one. Uh,
Nice to meet you.
we've kind of had a slow start, sir. We've been just talking and bullshitting. But yeah, like if instead of buying all the other brands and stuff like that, and now having 40 something watches that are all pretty much identical, or not identical, but very similar, uh, I would have just gotten this one. Um, I don't know. People who get all weird and whatnot. Yeah, dude, it's all good. Ain't no big deal. Like we're doing our thing. You know what I mean? People are going to be able to watch it on the replay and the playback, so it is what it is. And you got to keep the wife happy because as long as she's happy, then she's not paying attention to how many watches you have or have bought, or that little box that just showed up on the porch. You know, Philo is going to be our Mr. X, I believe, for the channel. Like, but he's just going to be Philo. Philo, the master of Miami, uh, where he's able to wrangle more watches than anybody else I've seen. His Instagram is insane. Like he's got pictures galore of watches and all good ass shit. Um, and basically he's done told me that I can scroll through, let him know what I like, and he'll send it to me. So I got to get him back to Steinhardt. We're waiting for the Ultimate Battle Royale that's coming up. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Philo. Like, I want to get this one back to you, and then like I really appreciate all my viewers and everybody that has decided to throw in, try to help out, sending me watches and stuff like that. Um, I can't tell you how much that is helpful and really going to help move the channel along. Uh, but yeah, like there's a gentleman who would like to remain anonymous. He just wishes to be known as the kind YouTube subscriber. Um, so kind of a long name and whatnot. I told him I'd come up with a cool pseudonym for him, but he was like, no, just a kind YouTube subscriber. So okay, that's what you want. So, but I got two super badass watches coming from him. I can't tell you what they are. Y'all find out though. They're gonna be fucking dope, 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 dope. And like I said, we were gonna fucking be able to put everything together, and we're gonna put it, bust out the time grapher, and we're just gonna sit down and play like almost like Legos, and find out like what what watches really got the best shit, and like just have them all right there, and I think everything's going to be under the $3,000 range, because I got to be honest, I've handled plenty of Tudors and all that kind of good stuff, and the Tudor is an exceptional watch. I really like the Black Bay 58, but there's a big difference in the bezel action between the 39 millimeter Black Bay 58 and the 41 millimeter. And I don't like the 39 millimeters action. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just 60 click and it's very notchy. Um, and I got to be very honest. A lot of the more high end watches, even though they cost a shitload more money, I've got watches in my possession that I feel that the bezel actions are already better than these super high end watches that have an extra zero behind them. Uh, it's just kind of what it is. Um, this Monta watch, I really do like how silky smooth it is, Joe. And I know Joe's actually running an errand for me because funny enough, I'll go ahead and tell y'all, but he ran across a silent service OR2 with the aluminum bezel and the golden sands loom which you can't get that anymore. Like you can't buy it. So he didn't like the Cyclops, but he found another one, and he was like, "Well, I don't want to," and this and that, and him and Han, and blah blah blah. So um, I told him, I was like, "Well, look, man, I'd rather have the one with the Cyclops, and I've always wanted one of each because they're both of them that he just found are the aluminum blue bezel. But with the golden sands loom, it's that nice yellowish color. Kind of looks like faux patina, but it's not because it's got a very distinct sparkle. Um, oh yeah, well, I'm telling you, Philo, that's going to be your watch. Like that's going to be the watch, like guaranteed. And you got some dope ass shit. But I would be so surprised if that's not the like. Okay, well, this one's not going nowhere, and we got to hold on to that no matter what kind of watch. Which not like you're pressed for doing anything like that, but yeah, it's spectacular. But at any rate, back to Joe. I made a deal with Joe. I was like, well, this dude that's selling this other one is only like 20 minutes from you and all this other stuff. Why don't you pick it up? You figure out whichever one you want. And I was like, so you don't feel like you lost out. I was like, whichever one you don't want, I'll get from you, and I'll give you $100 more than you paid for it. So that way, you come out ahead, just a little bit, not a ton, but just a little bit ahead. And I was like, and I can get me one of the golden sand loom um, OR2s because, like I said, they're discontinued. You can't get them no more. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. No, like Philo, I totally get it, man. The silent service is like I tell everybody, as I feel the better, more capable watch. I just enjoy the OR2 because that's more my style, my more kind of vintage type thing. Um, just a more traditional kind of diver. But I mean, both of them kind of got some cues from Rolex. I mean, like that's the maxi case without no lug guards, but you know, and the bracelet. You know what I mean? But like everything else about the watch to me does not scream Rolex or homage. Which that was one thing that somebody said the other day that I saw in their review. They were like they called this a homage watch, and I would disagree. Um, I mean, I can see how the argument can kind of be made, but if anything, it's more like a conglomeration watch where they just kind of took parts and pieces and cues and this and that from all kinds of other things. And, you know, anybody that's upset about them and, their choice of their bracelet style, well, I'm sorry, it's the damn best bracelet on the market. Like this is badass, man. This thing, uh, yeah, because like this is one of the things I was trying to tell you about. If you want to switch over, I have better bracelets that we can put on your Invicta. Because like this is what's called a milled clasp instead of like yours. Yours is a pressed clasp.
Hmm.
Uh, this has also got glide lock where you can just pop this down and like slide that out to adjust it.
I've never seen that before.
Is that not the coolest shit
It
ever?
is pretty cool.
Look, and this one works really good. Like it just snaps right back in.
Because I've taken some watches apart and put traded bracelets and did things like that, and almost always I had to pop the link out.
Yeah, well,
I'd never seen that,
like
but that is
these
cool.
these I had to take out 3 links on each one of them in order to get it to fit my wrist the way I like. Uh, but yeah, it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? It was pretty straightforward. They have screw links. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I totally agree. And like, what most people are upset about Philo is that they copied the Rolex, and I mean, sorry, but that's the best friggin' damn glide system that's out there right now. I mean, it's just the way it is. You know, So for them to have copied it, I mean, it is what it is. Uh, I think it was a good move. You know what I mean? Because I thoroughly enjoy it. It makes wearing the watch so much more comfortable. Because like especially like Justin backed me up down here in the south, it is hot as hell. Well, even down there in Miami, it's just humid. You go out, leave the AC controlled house and all that stuff, and watch it a little loose, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're outside for about like 30 minutes, and it's like your hands turning purple because it's just like cutting off the circulation.
Heat is oppressive. It was here. Yeah, there's so much moisture in there. You feel like you got a ton of bricks. You know. You walk outside. It's air is thick, surrounded by water down here.
Yeah, yeah. Like sometimes if you walk out the house around in the south, and it just feels like you didn't walk into the wall. It's like hard to move. You know what I mean? The air is just so thick. It's just like you kind of like swimming through it. You know, you kind of want to like get the windmill action with your hands going, so that way you know what I mean. Just kind of get the air just fucking the hell out your way before you get there. So you just move on through. But um, yeah, and like that's what I'm saying. Like with the silent service, I don't know. Like I said, to me, I've seen a few little of these things like kind of similar on other different watches, but especially because I didn't know no better and I wasn't that big of a watch nerd a year ago. When I saw this thing, I thought it was pretty damn unique looking. Yeah, see, it's definitely not 72 and cloudy. It's what is it? The hell does it say down there? It says 30 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny here, Philo. Thanks for rubbing it in, buddy. I got to go out and finish doing this water pump job right as we're done videotaping this. Appreciate it, man. But yeah, you know, I do like this Steinhardt Philo, but like if you go back and watch the beginning of the video and whatnot, man, the bezel action on this thing is just tight. Oh my god, really? Well, how the hell you go from Minnesota to living down in Florida, man? I didn't think that you'd be able to adapt to the climate like that. This Steinhardt is badass. Like I like everything else about it. You know what I mean? It's very comfortable. Uh, it's a nice looking watch, but it's just that bezel action is tight as hell. Like you were definitely not going to bump that one. Uh, it and like it's funny because they're Justin was asking me, he's like, well, what are you pulling out of the boxes and stuff and whatnot? And I'm like, these are my viewers' watches. They asked me to wear them, but I kind of don't want to. So I'm going to make sure I wear them and keep my hands in the view of the camera at all times, so that way y'all can see where they're at. They're right there. We're not going to mess them up. At least I'm trying my best not to. I'm trying to keep my hands all the way apart. That's like earlier in the video, I crossed my arms. I was like, "Whoa, no, 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 don't do that." Be like, shh, 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 shh. Yeah, no, yeah. The proctologist gloves, man, had to get them out. I don't know. Somebody was talking about using them for lambing. I don't know what lambing is, but that doesn't sound like nothing I want to be a part of. Sound like he was a bad man. Come on, that was funny, dude. You're not paying attention. You're not listening.
No, listen to
And
you.
that was a fucking whatchamacallit, lame fucking joke. Like I couldn't believe that dude was talking about that, but like I don't know what that lambing is, but yeah, dirty, dirty old fuckers. But yeah, I don't know. Um, oh shit. What else we got to talk about? We talked about the Ginault news about them selling. or the price is going up in the Ocean River. Um, you know, for the price, I do like this Monta. You know, I like the movement that's in it. I'm not a fan of the 6 o'clock date. However, this one you can see it quite well. Um, this bracelet is pretty badass, though. I do see what a lot of people do and about this bracelet. You know, I mean, 'cause that kind of articulation is just that's unheard of. I mean, it is very comfortable on the wrist. Again, I got it kind of loose in comparison to the way I normally wear a watch and whatnot, which you know it isn't like adding to its comfort, but the crown action and everything like that, like when you go to wind it, feels nice and smooth. You know, it's Swiss, so you know it's not any kind of crunchiness or like missed skips and stuff like that. It feels very good. The only thing, like I said, I really have to complain about is, like I said, I don't like how. Uh, Damn it! Can't get my arm up the right angle. You see how this is right here? That's because the inside of the like you see the inside of the clasp, how it just it's kind of hitting that one link, and it's just making it sit a little square. Like I don't know if the clasp was just maybe a little bit longer, it wouldn't be so noticeable. Um, you know, because it would be like enclosed. Like you see what I'm saying? Like if that was just
Mm-hmm.
a little bit longer, it would be all enclosed in there, and
Right.
then you wouldn't see it at all. Um, you know, it would just sit there. But the case and everything like that, it fits very nice. Um, I'm gonna have to. We're gonna do a loom contest when we do the battle royal comparison on all these watches because the loom on this watch is rather impressive. I mean, it's very bright, especially for no bigger than the indices are. I mean, you got your main indices and whatnot like 12, 3, and 9. Um, but like considering like those indices are very similar in size to like the indices on there. I mean, these are obviously bigger, but you know, I like to see how these two kind of compare when they face off. To see how they do looking that way. Um, oh man, damn it! See, I really should. No, I almost did it again. Nope. Um, oh wow. See, I've never heard of the one that you're talking about, but I know the Zodiac Sea Wolf. I mean, I've seen that before. That's that's right. Good watch. All right. Well, let's see. What else I was going to tell you guys? I don't remember, but I got puppy dogs howling and cars I need fixing, and I need to put all these watches up before anything happens to them because all right, then I almost crossed my arms twice and fucking I'm not fucking up these watches. Yeah, it's one of them things, Philo. Like uh, since I already did like the unboxing of this watch and everything earlier this week, um, I was going to do like a full live review on this one today and whatnot, but I don't know. My brain's like 10 different places because I'm trying to remember where all the parts and bolts and shit go to this water pump job. Because it's like halfway put back together, and it's like, oh shit. It's gonna be 12 o'clock by the time we all get back here with that part, and then I'm not gonna remember. Well, yeah, it seems like the viewership for this one's been a little bit on the lower side than usual, also. So it is what it is. Uh, I didn't give a whole lot of notice again. I waited till this morning to post, that we were even going to be doing a show today. I need to start doing it like on a Monday or a Tuesday, so it has all week to sit there and people can say, remind me later and all that kind of good shit. Um,
Well, thanks for sending the watch, Philo. That's pretty cool. Check that out. Yeah, that was neat. Uh, I didn't even know, that much about the watch community. I am excited about, certain things, but I could see watches becoming one of those things. Just because they're definitely they're all similar, but they're all different. You know, so it's just and those dead differences to me is what makes them special in a way. They're all they're all well manufactured, well engineered items, which I like.
yeah, no, see, Philo was right, man. It definitely becomes an addiction. Like it's a slippery fucking slope.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
Oh man, it's all good, dude.
I like collecting things for sure.
No, ain't no problem, collector. Unfortunately, we're about ready to wrap this up because I got to get his truck fixed up. But please watch the replay and everything like that. Anybody that was wanting to get in the danger zone with your wife would, yeah. Well, I'm sure. Until she realized you already done spent all your money on the watches, and then if she wants to divorce you, she's now got to sell said watches at half of the value of what you already spent them on. You know, so you're a
That's
smart
no fun.
man.
You collect something to keep it. That's
Well,
what I
yeah,
collect
yeah,
stuff.
but see, like she's gonna be thinking that Philo is worth whatever X amount of dollars. Well, Philo's already bought X amount of dollars of watches, and not all watches, unless they're all Rolexes. Like Rolexes go up in value. Most other watches either maybe stay the same or go down. So say he done lost money in all these watches, but he got all these watches to enjoy. She ain't gonna want the watches, and when she finds out selling the watches, she ain't gonna get shit for them. Then she's gonna be like, eh. But see, look, he's smart. He bought her ass two Cartiers,
There you
Cartier
go.
watches, like some really expensive, fancy shit. Like,
I've heard that name before.
oh yeah.
You couldn't show me one and I'd know what it was, but I have heard that name before.
Well, like the Cartier does jewelry and all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, I like jewelry too, and that's one of the reasons I like wristwatches. Plus, they're becoming items that you don't see every day all the time anymore. When I was growing up, everybody had on a watch. I had my Timex with a calculator.
That was some hot shit back in the '80s, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. I think a lot of people had the.
I like the nerdy calculator.
Oh, like that became a big thing because like then you could cheat on your math test in school
Right,
because
right.
you were wearing a watch. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
saying?
They can't tell you can't wear a watch.
Yeah, as long as you know. Well, see, like okay, like he's talking about having to buy her a couple of purses and everything. Watch out for them purses, man. Them purses get really expensive. Like the key is that you got to make sure that you know you tell them that you don't spend. You just don't tell them the exact dollar amount, so they don't go in and do like a percentage of what they feel that should have been spent on them, kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's that kind of shit happens. Uh, yeah, yeah, they are, dude. Like I can't even believe them purses. Like someone like $1,500, $2,000, looking like some shit that Walmart just spewed out, but with a fucking fancy name on it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. That's like Nikes. Like who the fuck was going to pay $400 for a pair of sneakers?
You couldn't. I wouldn't wear them if I paid that much for them. So what's the point?
I mean, yeah, like it just.
With a watch, it's gonna continue to be beautiful no matter how many times you wear it. With a pair of sneakers, I mean, that's gonna it's gonna have an effect on product itself. You know, watches do get wear, but not
Well,
like a pair of tennies do.
well, and see, like
You're
that,
not
that,
walking on the watch.
well, see, like that, that's kind of one of the weird things about watches too, dude. Like, some watches are valued extra because they have all kinds of wear and tear and they've been beat up, and
Okay.
because they've lived a life and they have a story to tell.
Right. Okay.
Um, some she's like, I've seen some watches, like especially what they consider like vintage, and I'm talking about like 80s, 70s, 60s watches, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, how in the fuck did this watch ever get this kind of reputation that it has as luxury? Because you're looking at it and like your $60 watch that I gave you fucking like meets and exceeds the standards of like the 1960s.
Mm, right.
Like it just the manufacturing process and stuff like that. Like yeah, and I mean that's one of the hard pills for a lot of people uh to like yeah. I have a sports watches on watches covered thinking of gold dress watch. Woo! Holy shit! Go ahead, underachiever then. Ballin' man. My man talking about a full dress watch, dude, like Bruguette style. Oh shit. Yeah, see, like he's just talking about Paul Newman's Rolex Daytona sold for big ass money because it was his. You know what I mean? And Paul Newman wore his Rolex Daytona like all the time,
Okay.
all the time. But you know, like somebody that was like, oh, I got this watch, during like World War II, and we wore it during the whole war or Vietnam or just anything like that, and it's got scratches all over it. Like people like that's one of the other funny things. Like they don't fuss about scratches as much as that you polish them out. Like when it
Hmm.
comes to like used and vintage watches.
Mm-hmm.
Like is that kind of like a weird concept to you? Like
Yeah, a little bit, but no. I mean, I can understand that. You know, like even with I like a lot of motorcycle stuff, and with motorcycles, you know that life that they've lived, that 15 of those custom parts, there's bolts that have been changed, everything that's a little different that you can see, kind of tells the story about it would tell a story about the watch itself, and I dig that. You know, but am surprised that it could be worth more money because of the life that it has lived and that it is scratched. You know what I mean? Or something happened to it, or it's just that normal wear that happens to metal in
yeah,
general.
yeah, yeah. And like I watched a video earlier today, and the dude was at like one of the watch fairs, and there was like a really rare watch where it was a Comex watch, but Rolex had manufactured it for them and let them put their name on it. Uh, so it was like a really rare example and all that kind of good shit. Um, they were selling the watch as is and asking like an astronomical amount of money because the watch had all this paperwork, had like a book this thick that came with it of all of its documentation and this and that and blah blah blah. Because like this wasn't supposed to be a watch that it was ever supposed to be on the retail market. Um, so long story short is the bezel action didn't work, and they were like, we don't want to fix it. We want to leave it just like it is because we think it's just dirt that's in there. But because of this watch's rarity and just how this whole little deal went down, it's got all this paperwork. It's like we won't mess with it. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
can see that.
So
I can see why you wouldn't want to do that, especially with something so special. You know, if something else goes wrong, it wouldn't be the best. Wouldn't be the best at all. You know, if the watch don't work right, and it would be worth less. Correct? If the hand doesn't tick.
not necessarily. Again, like because watch collectors want watches that are all original. It'd be like in certain instances for certain watches, like especially really rare or like unique examples, uh, you would more likely get more money for the watch in a non-working condition, uh, but all original versus running, working, and fully restored. Because if
Mm.
they go in and restore and they replace any of them parts,
Hmm.
even if it's original new parts, it's not the original watch no more. It devalues it.
Right.
Like it is insane.
I get that because like anything, when the manufacturer puts it together, they're using the best tools in order to make sure everything is as tight as it should be and where it's supposed to go. And when you take that apart and when you put it back together, it's always flawed. It's always different than it was going to be when it was first made, no matter what it is. If you're taking it apart, it's always
Yeah.
going to be that nano off, that one thing. I wouldn't say it'd never be as good because the manufacturer could have made a mistake too, but it's always going to be different when it's
Well,
put back together.
like, and like that's the whole thing about like the Rolex watches, dude. They're all hand assembled in the first place.
So they're all different to begin with, but yeah, I get it. No? Okay,
Yeah. So, but like they've all been through the same kind of tests and all that kind of stuff.
right.
Um.
I would like that more because now I know I have something completely unique.
Yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
hand put together, I know if
Yeah,
that
dude.
representation of that person that put it together.
A Rolex watch, it is rumored it takes up to 1 year to complete like a watch from start to finish.
Wow.
Like, yeah. But at the same time, they're supposedly turning out like 1 million watches a year. So I guess they got 1 million watchmakers. They make one watch all year long. But from what I understand, like the watch goes to like the different departments and whatnot for each specialty of that department, and
Sure. I
but
mean,
it
you
takes a
could.
year.
Right. You got 100 people making watches around the clock, then they can do
Yeah, but if he can only
thirty
do
five
one,
hundred a day.
yeah, but like if you can do like,
That's
but
a
if
lot of
they,
watches, but
yeah, but I mean, you're saying they only do one watch a year. Like, how much work is there to the watch? You know what I mean? Like, why is
right.
it taking so long? I don't understand. But they're talking about quality and precision and everything like that. And I guess if you're moving at that kind of a pace, but like I said, I don't understand the whole volume. You know, per one watch per year. Or takes them a year to build one watch. I mean, you get what I'm saying.
That's a little while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a little
Like,
while for one person to build a watch 1 year. I mean, that might be a calculation that they made. You know,
yeah. No, and I
now
mean,
it sounds
go ahead.
it sounds like a little while to me. I don't know. It
Well,
must be thousands of tiny parts you're putting in there. It takes that long.
yeah, well,
At least
there is.
hundreds.
It is. I mean, it's a bunch, but I mean, like, I watch many of people who do it all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Take them apart.
Take it apart and put it up, wash it, put it all back together, and they've cut it down to an hour video, so I don't know exactly how long it actually took them, but
Right.
it is what it is. Uh, yeah, see, like John LaCroix is saying the robots do most of the work, and like my boy Philo just pointed out, the Ginots, the reason why they're so special in my opinion also is because it's a two-man team who does it like in their like my workstation out in the garage.
Hmm.
They're building these watches out of a station like that.
That's awesome.
I mean that level of quality.
Are they milling the metal right there themselves? And
They okay. So they just they
had some of this stamped
they
out.
have the case bezel and the case back are all milled here in the United States. They have machine shops that they have contracts for, that
Hmm.
make all these pieces for this. The bracelet and the gaskets are sourced from Asia.
Okay.
The movement that's in this is a Swiss movement, so it's a Swiss movement, and I want to say the dial and the stuff. I don't know if I can't remember if they said that the dial was sourced from Asia or not, but essentially a lot of this is made here in the United States, like the
Hmm.
case and the bezel, and that's why the shit. Ooh. feels like it does. You know, it's got that super buttery smooth.
Yeah, I love the sound it makes too.
Yeah, a nice audible click. But yeah, I don't know. I forgot what the whole point of all that was. Oops. Uh, Dude, I wish I could interview John as you know too. I done asked him. I told him I was like, look, man, you want to come hang out? Let me see the factory or whatever. I was like, I'd love to do an interview and set the record straight on a whole bunch of shit for you. Uh, I mean, it is what it is at this point. All I'm saying is that the man makes the fucking best watches I've seen. And I've been to the stores. I done played with all the really expensive ones and all the I'm not saying I've got to own them, but I will say a lot of watches that are literally double the price tag. Uh, I'm not impressed with. They suck. You know, just in terms of like it doesn't feel all that high quality, and like when I look at it and look at the price tag, and I'm like, oh hell no. You know what I mean? And believe me, a year and a half, 2 years ago, any watch over fucking $200-300 was like, the hell are you thinking, dude? Like, why? Why would you even spend that kind of money on a watch? Um, Obviously now my opinions have changed. Uh, there are certain watches I would spend that kind of money on, um, but for the most part, no. There's only a handful of watches that skyrocket in value, like once you have purchased it, and like that's the only ones that like unless I'm going to just enjoy I'm buying it to enjoy the shit out of it. Because like pretty much, if you go get you a brand new Omega, if you don't wear it and enjoy it, and you're trying to hold on to it and get money back out of it later, you done bought the damn wrong watch. Like that's just the way it is. I mean, you're going to take a beating on it. People are going to give you half as much as you originally paid, even if the watch is still brand new in the box. And see, like Philo, I I personally don't care for many of their designs, but I do agree it is a better built watch. Um, but like when I went out first to get a Rolex, one of the first things that because I had never even heard of Omega. Like again, I was watch ignorant. Like I knew Rolex, 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 and that was it. Um, I couldn't even have picked a Rolex out of a damn lineup at that time. But long story short, I went to one store and the guy was trying to tell me how much better and more precise and all that the Omega was. I was like, well, I mean that's awesome and all. I was like, but what little bit I did know about watches was that the Rolexes sold for more than what they originally sold for used. So I was like, does that watch do that? And he was like, no. I was like, well, I don't want to hear about your $6,000 watch that's only going to be worth $3,000 once I leave. You know. Well, and see, like that's the whole
That's
thing, Philo. Um,
a good wife there, Philo.
yeah, dude. You
That's an
know,
awesome gift.
I mean, I guess the point is that it's almost better to own a watch that you already know is done lost half its value, so you can go ahead and enjoy it. You know what I mean? It's like you're allowed. You know what I mean? It's just way easier to just go ahead and enjoy. Yeah, I mean, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the value is not everything about collecting anything. It depends on how much you like it, how much you enjoy it. You know. I've had like pairs of sunglasses that I bought from the dollar store that were better than the ones I got from from Sears. I liked them more, but and I like the aesthetic of them more. But it really depends on the person. But if you're a watch collector, it is cool to have something that's special. You know, like a Rolex or an Omega. It is cool to have that show item. I got that. I got that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, I guess that's one of them things, and like it depends on whether it's like you're the fanboy of whichever camp or whatnot. Because um, like I try to get on the Omega camp. You know what I mean? Like the whole idea of like I can get a watch that's actually better than the friggin' Rolex for $5,000. Um, yeah, sign me up. And when I went and looked at them, they're like an Omega's much bigger around, and it has a scalloped bezel instead
hmm
of like a coin edge like this.
hmm I know
um,
exactly what you're talking about that design.
yeah, well, and they also got a great big ass helium escape valve for the diver on this side. Not every model, but most of them. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just not into all that. Like, you know what I mean? It's already one thing to have the crown on the one side, but now you're going to put something else on. Yeah, no, it's like a big old knob on there. I,
Right.
yeah, I just don't like it. You know what I mean? But like I do like it on my chronographs. Obviously, because you got to have the pushers for the chronograph. But let's see, let's see. I don't believe in having anything to put in the drawer. Yeah, and like that's the whole thing, Philo. It just you know I don't know. Like for most of us,
I agree with that. I don't want to buy something and not look at it or display it or wear it or use it what it's used for, especially something like so pretty as watches.
yeah.
I don't like storing things away. I like how you display your items. You got all your stuff and it's laid out so you can check it out, so you can share your joy with other people. I like that. You don't have it locked away.
Well, you know what I'm saying. There ain't no point in like I don't have to do a whole lot of work to go look at it.
I
I'm fucking
like
lazy,
that.
dude. Like I just
I
want to be
like
able to
it.
walk over and
Cool.
look through the window and like, oh, there it is. There's my pretties. Just makes life so much easier.
Mhm.
What's really cool is that there's actually lights inside of there. You had to reach up inside and hit the button, but
I see it now that you said that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, all my stuff's in a great big old china cabinet, so that way like, it's all kind of like its own jewelry display. What's up, Mike? Ooh, DeBell and Ross. Um, I'm gonna have to check that out because I actually heard about that company a couple months ago, and their stuff is right sharp looking. And I'm not gonna be funny, but before I do it, I'm going to take this off and place it here because I keep wanting to do this and then just no bad things are going to happen. So yeah. And for those of y'all that are just catching up, we're wearing Joe's Monta Atlas right now. I just removed Philo Steinhardt. Now just because it's on my left, it was on my left wrist, and yeah. Do you ever heard of Bell and Ross? I'm guessing no.
No, I've never heard of that watch company. No, I have not. Um, but really, as far as luxury watches go, the only one I've really heard of is Rolex. But that's the one. That's the name that everybody knows for sure.
Is it? Do you know why? It's their marketing.
Right.
They
The
spend.
billboards, the commercials, the people who wear them, and how long they've been around too. And I mean, they're supposed to be known for for the quality of their watch, which is I've never owned a real one before. I got a fake one as a gift. Came from overseas. One of my buddies was in the military and brought it back for me as a joke. But it was so ridiculous that it was a cool gift because it was obviously not a Rolex. It was just a super cheap watch with Rolex written on it, and I didn't know what kind of metal it was done in, but
I hear that, dude. And I, well, like,
I might still have it. Actually, I've had it for a long, long time.
I hear that. Well, if you got it somewhere, like, show it to me because
Yeah, well, I'll try to dig
it's
it up.
it's it's kind of surprising because like when you're looking at the old ones, you would think it's fake, and they're not.
But
Like,
this says like the band is sewn sideways, and obviously been cut out and then sewn back in. Somebody hand sewed this leather bracelet on in the inside of the watch bracelet, and then the metal looks so cheap, and I can tell it's a gold
yeah,
color, but it's definitely not gold. It doesn't even have a second hand on it. You know what I mean? It's very cheaply made. But I will bring it in. But it's got Rolex stamped on the back of it, Rolex stamped on the front, Rolex in the
well,
inside of the band that was sewed in.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm just saying,
I'll bring
dude.
it in. I'll try to
Yeah,
find it. I'm
yeah. I
pretty sure I
mean,
still got
he's like, we'll pop the back off of that and find out. But
it.
no, no,
For
he's like
sure.
that's like we do that real quick and just check it out.
You do.
But Philo just made a real good point, and John LaCroix real quick. Sorry, uh, John. Yes, they are going for big money. They just actually upped their price on the silent service. Like I don't know if you were talking about the silent service or the OR2, but basically the silent service went up to phase two pricing. Um, they also re-released the Ocean Rover 2. The black bezel is 16.99, and the blue bezel is 17.99. So yeah, and like that's really the whole thing, Mike. I really like the Rolexes, and specifically from the point of view of um, I could maybe one day make money on it. Like, I really like the way I like their products, and I like the way they look and all that kind of stuff. But there are better options out there, or at least kind of equal. People have got you know Rolex up on this fucking pedestal of and I mean and what's really funny is that you look at the like really rich folks, motherfucker, they look at the Rolexes like, oh, that's the broke working man watch because it's those of us who work hard for a living that like, oh my god, Rolex because it's so fucking expensive to us.
Right, because we don't know any better.
Well, to a motherfucker that's got dough and whatnot, they're like, man, fuck
Right.
that, dude. I got a 15, 20 roll. Like, they got a Rolexes like I got San Martins. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check out Bella Ross, man. Yeah, definitely. Please do that. Message that over to me, Mike. That'll work. Yeah, well, see, like, I don't really want to buy the watch to flip it, and that's necessarily. Uh, I want to buy them to wear them and enjoy them, but like that's something you always got to keep in your mind. Like again, I'm not trying to speak for all of us as being broke, 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 but I'm just saying, like if 10 grand, like if you can go out and spend 10 grand, like I spend $10 at McDonald's, and just not have to give a fuck about your $10. It just is just whatever, man. Fuck that $10. You know what I'm saying? If you like got it like that, well, man, more power to you. I can't do it like that. Like anytime I'm going to spend 10 grand on something, I always stop and think about like how bad do I want this bad or this motherfucker because I already know I'm probably going to get half if I go to sell it.
You need to find that $3 yard sale deal. That grandma's doing it.
See,
She
you
don't know what
laugh,
she's
dude, but you know what
got.
I'm saying? Look, when they had the damn antique store up there by Southland or whatever, I was in there and the dude, the lady was like, "Oh, we're cleaning out, we get rid of all the shit." And she handed me a bag of watches. And I seen one in there that said Rolex on it, and I'm like, "How much for the bag?" She was like $20. Big. I was like, give me that $20. Here you go. Fucking, I got home. Of course, he was a fake piece of shit. But I was hoping for like him, like he's talking about. Like I'm not. I have not fully given up on a yard sale find or maybe buying
Yeah,
a fucking lot
don't give up on it. I've found some
locker
cool
unit.
stuff, man. I've found some cool stuff.
It's possible. It's
It's
possible.
definitely possible because watches are those things that if you don't, especially if it wasn't a Rolex, because you know what I mean. Because then people won't know and they throw it in the bin and they're like, okay, $6, and then I've heard of it happening with all kinds of things. And watches definitely could be one of those things.
Well, especially because like Rolex is one of the most faked watches in the world. Most people are quicker to assume that a watch is just fake without knowing.
Oh, I would.
You
I'm
know what I'm
that kind
saying?
of person.
Versus
If you're wearing a Rolex, I just assume, immediately assume it's fake. Not unless you know.
not knowing nothing about it. Just
Right.
that's where you're going to jump
If
to.
I'm
It's like
just
it's probably fake.
exactly, if I see one, I'm pretty sure it's fake. Not pretty sure, but that's where my mind would run to immediately.
Irrelevant. Congratulations on ordering your silent service no date. That is a excellent watch, and you're going to be very, very pleased with that one. Um, Mike, uh, well, bud, I'm trying to think because I don't want to upset you or nothing like that, but I barely started using the internet like 3 or 4 years ago. You know what I mean? Like I literally just learned how to email about like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It was maybe five. So I actually haven't thought a single thought about an Apple Watch or any smartwatch ever. Sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear a smartwatch. Not something I do. If I've already got the cell phone, I don't need the smartwatch to. At that point, if I was to wear something around my wrist, it'd just be for the beauty of it. And that's why I wear a lot of jewelry in general because I like manufactured items. I like wearing stuff like that. But if I've already got a cell phone in my pocket, I don't want a smartwatch. Those just don't look good. There's not as much effort in it. It's just pumping them out like a machine. These are more unique. I'd much rather wear a watch like that.
Yeah. I mean, it just okay. Like my buddy Rick, one of the guys I race with, he just recently got one of them smartwatches, and this thing does so much shit. I mean, it does fucking everything. It had the weather. It had like radar on it. It had tracking. It had man. I ain't got time to sit down and read the manual to try and learn that shit. Uh, like it just this thing was like it gives my
Crapple watch.
pulse and this and that.
I
Yeah,
like that crapple. There you go. I'm gonna start saying that.
and I mean,
Women love those things, man. I see more girls wearing those things than men for sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I can see how they're somewhat handy, but like again, I'm not a person that's got my phone up my ass or attached to my hand all the time.
Yeah. When I'm alone, I use my phone quite often. But if I'm interacting with other people, nah, I'm not on my phone all the time. Yeah, it's one of my things. My teacher did say one time. She said,
I
I
see.
saw the problem with the calculator. She was like, "You won't have a calculator everywhere you go," and I was like, "Yes." And now I'm like, "Prove you wrong." I have one everywhere I go. You know what I mean?
But look, okay. See, look, Mike was. See what he just said.
What is that?
You're talking about that damn calculator watch you was talking about
Oh
earlier.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you missed it earlier in the show, Mike. We were talking about the old school Timex and Casio
I had
calculator
one.
watches.
I was a cheater. I was a cheater. That's what I used it for too. Just sitting there in class, beep 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 beep. And then I had one with a TV remote on it. So I'd be flicking on the TV. It had a universal remote in the watch.
No,
Yes, yes,
no, no.
yes,
I don't remember
yes,
seeing no infomercials or no cartoon or
yes,
commercials in the '80s for that.
yes, yes,
That's crazy.
yes, dude. This was like 1996. like 6th grade.
Oh, see, he's talking about he felt like Michael Knight talking to Kit with his Timex back in the day. Yeah, I do. Yeah, that and like what was it, Airwolf? You know what I mean? That I want to say he always had like one of them kind of pilot type watches where like you could do calculus on that bitch and shit.
I think I still got my Swatch watch and the slap-on watch that they were bought for me for Christmases years and years ago by my parents.
I remember the slap bracelet watch.
Yeah, you're smack. just.
I remember seeing those.
Yeah,
See,
I had
like
one.
I would like to get my hands on like the old vintage '80s plastic Swatch watches because I had just because I had one. I had one with like the little
I've got one.
rubber.
I've got one. It's really rubbery and bendy and bright colors. I got one.
Oh yeah.
But what I moved to was them shark watches. He bought at this surf shop. Those were pretty much the last watches I wore up until
You talking about the ones like they had a Velcro strap or whatever?
Yeah, Velcro strap had a little shark fin on it. It was digital. It was a nice watch. It wasn't super cheap. It was a decent watch. You get them at the surf shop for like $50, between 30 and 80, depending on what kind of special and how big it was.
I hear that.
You had some that had a radio and you plug your headphones into them.
Well, yeah, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about radio watches, right there, and
there you go. Yeah, Mike, the radio watches.
yeah, and you're talking about his sister had a ring watch.
No, that's cool. I never heard of that. You know what? I do remember seeing those little teeny ring watches. I do. Those were 80s stuff too. Yeah.
See, I don't remember those.
A beautiful time for watches.
Well, '80s was just kind of crazy because they felt like, well, we're coming up on the millennium and whatnot. We need to hurry up and start getting with some future shit.
And that shit isn't very future. Came out.
Yeah, it was like just everything. Everything was kind of crazy in the '80s, dude. Like the hair was wild. They're like, we're not looking enough like the Jetsons yet, bitches. We gotta get closer.
Really crazy shapes on some watches that they made back then, especially the female watches were off the chain in the '80s.
Dude, so especially like crazy triangles or like with a sharp ass like feather thing coming out over this way, and like the glasses that like poked off one side of your face, like I remember all that stuff, like the Max Headroom kind of look.
Right.
Not really, but
glasses shaped real funny.
Yeah.
Bright colors and everything plastic.
Movados. Well, see, like, I mean, I lived through the '80s and '90s, but in that time, like, I don't know, I didn't know what anybody wore. Like, I knew when I was in 3rd grade, Swatch watches. It was like 84, 85. Swatch watches were real big and real popular, and then we moved down to Virginia Beach around like '88. And when we moved down here, nobody wore a Swatch watch. Like nobody gave 2 fucks about them. So like I stopped wearing it.
I had an older sister, and she was the one that had all the Swatch watches. And she mentioned it to my parents. My parents were like, "Oh, I guess everybody wants Swatch watches, so we're gonna go ahead and get them." They got me one because she asked for it. She thought it'd be something I liked, which I did. I wore it. I wore the heck out of it. I did.
And see, I'm glad I'm not the only person that had that problem with my family, though. You know what I'm saying? Just because, like it was just me and my sister or whatever. But we wound up getting a lot of like kind of matching presents, but that's kind of fucked up because it's boy girl. But yes, we both had Swatch watches. She had the girls one, I had the boys one, or whatever. But yeah,
if you gave me the choice, I would have wanted the Timex, not the Swatch. I mean, at the time anyway. They were both around the same price and quality.
Yeah. I mean, the Swatch watch. I mean, they've obviously done quite well for themselves because Swatch is the one that owns Omega.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not the Swatch Group.
I did not know that.
A whole bunch of shit.
That to me was the goofiest watch that I ever owned, and it was
Yeah, and I trust me, and there's a lot of people out there that feel that way, and
But I like it because of that too, though. You
well,
know what I mean?
I know, but
Yeah.
like there were like serious watch collectors that got very butthurt when Omega was in the conglomerates of it were bought out by the Swatch Group, and yeah, that was they're like, oh, it's
I
gonna be
mean,
the ruin of the brand, and actually, to be truthful, they've actually made a lot of the Omega watches even better and even more high quality than they already were. You know what I mean?
but
But because of being
that's
associated with
amazing
the
to me.
goofy ass watches,
Learn something new every
yeah,
day.
people are a little
Yeah, yeah. Because that's
the
what I remember Swatch for. 100% is those goofy,
goofy
crazy
ass watches.
watches.
Yeah, yeah.
Spongy bands, you could throw it in the room, it would bounce. You know what I mean? Like a rubber ball. It was so, I don't know. It was funny. The material was something I'd never seen on a watch before. The material and the color. That kind of plastic I'd never seen on a watch.
Yeah, I like I said, I like the rubber and the gooiness. Like it was just always they were flexible, and then what was so cool is that you could take them apart and put them together, and they were made to be fucked with. Like
Yeah.
you were made to switch the bands and do
Yep.
this and
Yep.
put the little rubber band like crystal protector thing on there.
Yep. I remember. Yep.
Uh,
You could buy things for it. Just buy a whole
oh
new
yeah,
one
there's
and
all kinds of
exchange
cool
them and
shit. Yeah,
make them 12 different colors and yeah.
and see, Mike, see, like you're lucky, man. Like I guess you were a watch person very early on.
I was, but I kind of skipped it for a while after I felt not a need to have it. I guess because most of my watches from growing up were the need of having a watch, and then once that need went away, you know, my focus just kind of shifted to the cell phone when that came out. And then the watch, like with my wallet too. Like I don't wear a wallet anymore. It's connected to my cell phone. Because I know that I need that item all the time, so I need my wallet too. So I just combined them together. And once that kind of what, because I really I care about what time it is. I need to be on schedule. There's things that you got to do. You got to have a watch. You got to have a way to tell time. You know,
Yeah, and see, like I would never do all the other stuff and whatnot, like as far as connecting my wallet. Like I just no, I want to keep it all separate because motherfucker, I just feel a lot safer that way. I rather remember have to remember three or
uh,
four things.
well, there's the wallet right there. It's got a little thing on it. Just keep my eyes on
Yeah,
get everything in there.
yeah, but like you know what I'm
So
saying, you lose the phone, motherfucker, and all of
I've
a sudden
lost my
you're really
wallet too.
fucked.
I
Yeah,
understand
I
that,
it's a double down.
but
But
kinda.
but yeah, now Mike, what I was hearing say to you is like I didn't know shit about watches, and like my dad used to wear a watch back in the day. I did not. Um, I couldn't tell you what kind of fucking watch it was. And the worst part is neither could he. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was some watch my mom had bought him. I knew it went through a couple of bands, and it couldn't have been but such a great watch. It was a quartz, so I remember it had to have his battery changed. Uh, but like you were much more into the watches at a much younger date than I was because you know, other than seeing Seiko and Citizen commercials on TV,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I couldn't have told you shit about those watches.
My dad would wear dive watches. He wouldn't have. I think he had one watch like these that were similar to this that he would wear special occasions. When he would wear something nice, he would wear that watch. But on his everyday, because he was a well driller, so on his everyday he had a waterproof watch on because he'd always be in the water. Always that watch was dunked 50 times a day. So
Well,
he had to get something that was really, really waterproof, watertight.
and not being funny, dude, but he may have had a Rolex, man. I mean, like back in the day,
I had
like
no idea what kind of watch he had. I just knew he had one special one, and that was it.
no, I got you, but I mean, like that's what you got to understand. The Rolex, like Submariner, was specifically made for guys like your dad. Like
Right.
that's the motherfucker that watch was designed for. It's not designed for like the luxury market. It was designed to be, used as a tool watch. That's its
Right.
definition is that it's a tool watch. It's supposed to be made for rough, tumble, badass fucking scenarios and
I mean,
situations.
it was if it was on my dad's wrist at that time, it couldn't have went through any. A watch couldn't have faced a better test. You know what I mean? But at least on the waterproofing, because it was all he was always had his hands underwater digging and this, digging that.
Well, up until here recently, like that's been or Rolex's real big claim to fame was how good their waterproofing is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Uh, Now here in more recent years, uh, other people and other watch companies and stuff like that have been able to capture like depth records and stuff like that. But it is what it is. Uh, Rolex still makes one of the most waterproof watches out there in the world, but there are a lot of other watches that cost a third of the price that are just as waterproof, and some that are even more waterproof.
Right. Right.
Let's see.
That would be important to me if I had a watch. That Invicta that you got. I'm glad you told me the things that about it. You know what I mean? Because even as in the work that I do, I'm always washing my hands all the time. So that watch not might not necessarily be underwater all the time, but it will be getting wet.
Oh yeah, well, and see, like the one you got, it's
Yeah.
got that screw down crown,
Right.
and like I said, it's a dive watch. It's actually good up to 200 meters. And again, as long as you screw down that crown.
Right.
You don't screw down that crown, and it's shit's a little iffy.
Right.
But see, and like that's the thing, Mike. If you know, if they still did stuff like that for people, and give a really good watch, you know what I'm saying, when people retire and shit, like I don't know, like that would be like a very special kind of watch. You know what I mean? Like I could only wish somebody would give me a fucking $4,000 or $5,000 watch when I retire. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that watch wasn't that much when he retired, but still, it's yeah.
That'd definitely be a gift I would keep. Display. Check it out. That's the one. Yeah,
Let's see, Bulova had a
that'd be
certain
cool.
line of watches for diving only. Yeah, I mean, well, that like a lot of the watches back in the day were made to perform under fucking harsh conditions.
Well, that'd be good. I'd rather watch a porn that would do that rather than it wouldn't. You know what I mean? Than it just be cool to just have that, even if it didn't use the capability. It'd be, you know, for me anyway.
Well, see, like that's the
Feeling
thing.
like an item was more longer lasting and tougher and
Well,
more meant for to get the beating. You know what I mean? Still work perfectly was
well, and
good.
see, like that's kind of where like Rolex has gotten their reputation because the company is only about 100 years old. Um,
I thought they were older than that.
no, like believe it or not,
Right.
they're like Seiko, the company Seiko
Yes.
is a much older company, and they're in Japan, and they've been making watches longer and shit
Right.
than fucking Rolex, and they make it.
I've had a Seiko before. I have.
Well,
I might have
they
had several,
Seiko's
like growing up.
like the one you got now. That's a Seiko movement that's in that watch.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Seiko NH35A, and those watches are so well built and robust, and but they're not as finely regulated and fine tuned. You know what I'm saying? Because they're more of a mass production kind of scale. But like Seiko has all kinds of tiers. Like I was talking with the watcher the other day, and me and him were talking about. Uh, I asked him, I was like, "What's the different levels of all the different Seikos?" And my man started breaking it down for me, and like I don't even have the heart or time to sit here and try and go through all the different levels. But essentially, with Seiko, you got to be careful. The price does not dictate necessarily which tier level you're on. Like entry level, mid tier, higher end. Like they have some mid tier watches that are cheaper than some of the entry levels.
Hmm.
Like that
Right.
doesn't make no sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yet then they got like their King Seiko and Grand Seiko lines, which is up into the thousands and thousands of dollars, but they still have the same Prospect diver line that goes also from the Prospect line to also into the Prospect King Seiko and Prospect Grand Seiko.
Hmm.
You see what I mean? Like, just because you're like, oh, I got a Seiko Prospect. Okay, Seiko, Grand Seiko, King Seiko, which one? There's just all kinds of different, uh, I don't know, just, it's a fucking clusterfuck is what it is. It's screwy, and just because you're paying $1,500 for the watch does not mean that you didn't get the entry level Seiko still.
Right.
Most of them are not nowhere near that expensive, but there are like one or two exceptions.
I could imagine that if you've been making watches for 150 years, you had to make at least one special watch. At least one. Let's give her all watch. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
dude, they got these new ones that are what they call spring drive, and like they are phenomenally, ridiculously accurate, and they're gorgeous. Like they're
Yeah, I
beautiful.
didn't know they made not nice watches. I thought they just kind of made the cheapos.
Yeah,
Which
well, see, like that, and like that's the problem. Like that's the
to
perception
me
of
they
it.
were known for cheapo watches. I could go to Walmart and get myself a Seiko,
Yeah,
or
well,
Kmart
like
back in the day, get myself a Seiko for $25.
yeah, well,
You
like I
know,
don't even know. Well, I think there are some Seiko watches that are still like $25, but for the most part, you know what I'm saying. That's not the way it is no more. I'll say this is not the only Seiko I have. I have many Seiko powered watches, but
does this one say Seiko on it?
hmm yeah. And of course, this isn't a Seiko bracelet. That's actually a much nicer bracelet than the fucking original Seiko.
Oh yeah, this is not the quality of watch that I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, but that's their entry level. Now, like I said,
Okay.
the bracelet, that's not the original bracelet. The original bracelet had push pin and a pressed clasp, much like your Invicta. But the list price on that watch with the shittier bracelet was $300. I happened to get it on sale for $200. Yeah, let's give that bezel a spin.
Yeah, even like there's definitely a difference between the way this one
Mm-hmm.
glides along the top
And then
than
those two, yeah.
absolutely. It's just you can tell it's better engineered on those two watches. But I mean, this is a cool watch. I like how that's kind of facing to the side there. Kind of adds a little
Yeah,
bit
here
of
we go.
uniqueness to it.
Mr. John LaCroix chimed in here with what all the Swatch Group owns. The Swatch Group owns, including Block Pain, Burgos, Serta, Etta, Glashute, Original, Hamilton, Harry Winston, Longines, Mito, Omega, Rado, and Tissot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Swatch went to town. They took it real far with them
Yeah,
plastic
basically,
watches.
they was buying everybody's ass up. They was like, you ain't laughing at them little bitch ass plastic watches now, are you, motherfuckers?
Right.
Yeah. All them little kiddies in the 80s was running around with so many damn Swatch watches, buddies, and they were able to buy up everybody's shit.
Well, I'm sure they put their money in other baskets too, because I'm sure of that.
All right, G Money, I'll check you later. But at any rate, I said earlier we were gonna wrap this up, or whatever. But
Yeah, we got into another 40-minute
yeah, I
conversation.
know exactly. You know what I mean. But that's cool. That's cool. Like I'm glad that the show just keeps on rolling or whatever. But I really appreciate y'all. Like, subscribe, check y'all later. Um, if you missed anything, go back and rewatch it or whatnot. But yeah, like I gotta go out here and fix this man's van and shit and get this stuff done. It's almost 2 o'clock. All right, later, y'all.
Peace. Oh shit, that was cool, man. I enjoyed that.